Kennedy, do solemnly swear.
I, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, do solemnly swear.
That you will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
That I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
And will, to the best of your ability,
and will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
Preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
So help you God.
So help me God.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
The president was going to Fort Worth and Dallas. Bob Clark was our White House correspondent at the time, and he needed a producer.
Okay.
So I went down as his producer.
Okay.
The police radio announces there had been shooting in Dealey Plaza. I look at the newsman who comes into the tape room and announces that and said, "Where in the world is Dealey Plaza?" And they said, "Oh, Dealey Plaza is just 2 blocks away." So we grabbed a film cameraman and ran to Dealey Plaza. When we got there, they were just then pointing up to the textbook depository building, one of the upper floors, saying that a man had been there with a rifle. It was a horrifically emotional scene. People were crying, people were stunned, people were angry. It was chaos. So 2 days later, I'm in the basement of the city police department. And so I saw Oswald come out of the elevator, and then I lost sight of him because he walked behind a barrier.
I don't know what this is all about.
Kill the president?
No, sir, I didn't. People.
And then he walked out, and I heard shots. They immediately put us on the air, the local anchor and myself, and I am now asked to describe an event I cannot see because my view of Oswald is totally blocked by the security people who are now rushing forward, pulling their guns out of their holsters to try and determine what's going on. So I am seeing my entire career flash, my lengthy career, 2-year career at ABC News, flash in front of my eyes that I'm going to say something that's not true. I'm going to end my career by making a fool of myself, and I'm on national television via audio. And this is on the ABC television, and I'm on the phone, so here it goes.
TV, Dallas, Texas, interrupting. There's been a shooting at Dallas Police Station as Oswald was being transferred. For details, Bill Lord, ABC at City Hall. Bill.
Just 1 minute ago, they were bringing Oswald out. He had apparently changed clothes. He was just going out the door, heading towards the armored car, and there was a bang. We believe it was a shot. And apparently,
that's
what has happened to him, we do not know at the present time. Policemen rushed to the scene, attempting to ascertain what had happened. The photographers were taking pictures. Is there someone down on the floor over there? Is there someone injured down on the floor? Apparently, Oswald is the word we get, but this is unconfirmed because no one can really see
where I am
what
in
has
the phone
happened.
booth.
There was a shot, one shot, and everyone here jumped to see what had happened. Oswald is shot, according to a police spokesman.
Okay. That's difficult to go through because
what?
Tension in my voice,
Right.
fear in my voice that I'm about to say something that ultimately will not. I qualify all sorts of things because
Right.
I'm being given secondhand reports that I'm ultimately going to say something that ultimately isn't true.
This is Detective Jim Lavelle, who was this morning handcuffed to Oswald and was bringing him out to the car to be transferred to the county jail. Could you tell us what happened?
when we came through the door with Oswald, they began taking their pictures, and in the issuing time that they were snapping pictures and talking, I saw this man come from the crowd, and at the time he emerged from this crowd of people, he was not more than 6 or 7 feet from me. And I dare say that had I known that he was going to be there, the swiftness with which it happened, I doubt if anyone could have prevented it.
Did you see the gun in his hand as he came?
I saw the gun in his hand as he emerged from the crowd. But being such a short distance from me, I had no time to say anything. I did jerk Oswald to try to jerk him behind me.
Now, you were handcuffed to him?
I was handcuffed to him and also had a hold of the waistband of his trousers. I tried to jerk him behind me, but he had and I reached up and caught a hold of Jack Ruby's shoulder, left shoulder, and shoved back on him. At the same time pulling on Oswald. But he had this .38 snub-nosed pistol, and all he had to do was pull the trigger. It was a double-action gun, and therefore the whole episode only took a matter of a second to take place.
Now, when Oswald fell to the ground, was he unconscious at that point?
I would say if he was not, he was nearly so. Just as soon as my partner on the other side, Mr. Graves, grabbed Jack's hand with the gun in such a manner that he couldn't fire it anymore.
Did he try to fire it again?
Yes, he was still with his left hand. He had the gun in his right hand. He was trying to pull it around, and I could tell that he was still trying to snap the pistol. But Mr. Graves had it in such a manner that he couldn't fire it anymore.
Did you speak to the victim on the ground?
Yes, I immediately picked him up then with another officer, I don't remember who that was, and carried him back inside the jail office to get him away from the area. And I tried to talk to him and ask him if he could hear me and if he understood me. He never did answer me, and his eyes were partially closed. As far as I know, he never regained consciousness.
How has this affected the morale, the spirit of the police force?
Well, I think that I can probably speak for all the officers here. I've heard many of them comment on it, and I think that they all feel very deeply about it. They regret the incident happening. We regret the shooting that occurred to the president on Friday, and certainly this hasn't helped their feelings any at all. Mr. Ruby didn't better our cause any by shooting Oswald.
In a span of 3 days, Americans saw the death of the 35th President of the United States and his assailant. Reporters gathered the facts and the information while struggling to keep their emotions in check. By the time he got back to New York, Lord could no longer keep his emotions checked.
I think it was relief, but I remember when I got home I cried. I did not cry during that whole period, but I did cry after looking at the funeral and realizing that we were there in Dallas when it happened.
Why did you cry?
I think the overwhelming emotion as to what the country had lost. It was the modern day killing of Lincoln. We look back on the Lincoln assassination and how that could have happened, the consequences of it. We were going through another Lincoln assassination. So for the nation, it was a dark period without question, and I think that affected all of us citizens emotionally.
Reporters became eyewitnesses for Americans. It was their job to report the information, not take part in the event.
You say to yourself, I'm not a participant in this event that I'm covering. I'm an observer. I'm an observer for everyone else who wasn't here. And what I do is going to be looked at by you and others 50 years later, saying, what was that guy saying? So you have to be very careful. But the adrenaline keeps you going. The professionalism in terms of making sure you're at the right spot at the right time and you're doing the right story and you're doing it well, all those keep you under control.
3/4 of Americans were not alive when Kennedy was shot and killed. As time passes, Americans are left with fewer accounts of that day in Dallas on November 22nd, 1963. For those who reported on the events in person, they remembered how they felt.
And after it's all said and done, you reflect back on it. What do you remember most about being there?
Sadness, confusion. It was a horrendous week for those of us who were on the front lines of reporting the story, but also for Americans in general and worldwide. It was memorable and still is.